Night has already fallen over the flat fields of Lincolnshire. The air hums with a nervous energy. Engines idling, men whispering, and the rhythmic sound of boots on wet tarmac. Inside a Nissan. Hoot at RAF Scampton, Wing Commander Guy Gibson adjusts his Mae West life jacket and looks up at the map spread across the wall. Red strings stretch from England to the heart of Germany. The Ruhr Valley, Britain's industrial enemy. "All right, chaps," Gibson begins, his voice steady but low. "Tonight we strike the dams." At 9:28 p.m., 19 Lancaster bombers of 617 Squadron, each modified, with a strange drum-shaped weapon slung beneath the belly, roar into the sky. The crews know. Little of what they carry, only that it's secret, experimental, and dangerous. They call it upkeep. The Germans, soon enough, will call it something else entirely. As the last aircraft climbs into the darkness, the ground crews watch the formation disappear toward the east. Someone mutters, "God help them all." The lights of Scampton blink once, then vanish into the night. 2 years earlier, a bespectacled engineer named Barnes Wallis sat at his desk surrounded by graph paper and skepticism. Britain was desperate to cripple Germany's war machine, but the Ruhr dams, which powered much of its steel and munitions industries, seemed invulnerable. Tall, concrete walls with heavy anti-aircraft defenses and torpedo nets across the reservoirs made conventional bombing useless. Wallis' idea sounded absurd. He proposed skipping a bomb like a stone across water. The bomb, spinning backwards, would bounce over the nets, strike the dam
When he presented
wall,
the
roll
concept
down, and
to
explode
Air
at
Ministry
depth,
officials,
where the water's
they laughed.
pressure would
One
multiply
officer
its force.
reportedly
quipped, "We're fighting a war, not playing skittles," but Wallis persisted. He built models, filmed tests, and even dropped marbles into bathtubs to prove his theory. Gradually, skepticism turned into grudging curiosity. By early 1943,
Bomber
with
force
stronger
Britain's
than ever, Wallis got permission to build a full-sized prototype. Trials at Chesil Beach proved that his bomb worked spectacularly. It tore through targets with uncanny precision. The challenge now was delivery. The weapon had to be dropped at exactly 60 feet altitude, 240 miles per hour, and within
released.
seconds of a perfect approach. For that, the Royal Air Force needed something it didn't yet have: a squadron of pilots mad enough to try it. Guy Gibson was 24 years old, a decorated veteran of over 70 operations, calm, disciplined, and fiercely protective of his men. He was chosen to lead the new 617 Squadron. Their mission was so secret that even their families were told only that they were part of special duties. Training began in March 1943. Every night, crews practiced flying at suicidal altitudes, just 60 feet above water, using modified Lancaster bombers stripped of bomb bay doors and equipped with twin spotlights to mark the perfect release height. They flew so low that fishermen in the Norfolk Broads swore they could touch the plane's bellies. The crews came from across the Commonwealth: Canadians, Australians, New Zealanders, Britons, all hand-picked for precision flying. They trained relentlessly, over reservoirs, valleys, and coasts, sometimes clipping trees or scaring swans half to death. One pilot joked, "If we hit the target, it'll be a miracle. If we live, it'll be two." By May, they were ready. On the 5th-10th, Air Vice Marshal Ralph Cochrane summoned Gibson. Tomorrow night, Operation Chastise. The targets were 3 dams, Emchen, Sorp, Eder, the beating heart of German industry. Gibson saluted. "We'll do our best, sir." Then quietly, to himself, "God willing, it'll be enough." At 9:28 p.m., the first wave of Lancasters lifted off from Scampton. The night was calm, but moonlit, ideal for navigation, terrible for concealment. Gibson led the formation low over the English coast. Engines thundering, sea spray glinting against fuselages. They crossed the Dutch coast at 0 altitude, literally. Skimming the waves, flak bursts erupted as searchlights clawed at the sky. A Lancaster was hit almost immediately. Tracer rounds stitched across its wing before it plunged into the sea. Gibson didn't flinch. "Steady. Stay on course," he said over the intercom. Every minute felt like an hour. Power lines flashed over each head, rivers and villages streaked beneath them. In one moment they were over green fields. The next over darkness and flak. Navigator maps glowed faintly under red lamps. At 10:56 p.m., the first sight of the Emchen Dam appeared on the horizon, a silver line of water shining. Under the moon, "Target in sight," Gibson said. The Dambusters had arrived. Anti-aircraft fire opened instantly. Bright white flashes from both banks. The Emchen Dam loomed ahead like a giant wall, 130 feet high, almost half a mile long. Gibson's Lancaster roared in at 240 mph, skimming the lake's surface. His bomb-aimer, Flight Lieutenant John Hopgood, called out, "Steady, ... steady, ... hold." The bomb spun backward at 500 revolutions per minute, skipped across the water, once, timed, 3, and struck the dam. A column of spray erupted, followed by a thunderous explosion. But when the smoke cleared, the dam still stood. "Damn it," Hopgood muttered. "We'll go again," Gibson said. Circling for another pass. One by one, the other Lancasters made their runs. One was shot down, crashing in a ball of fire near the reservoir. Another's bomb missed and exploded too soon, rocking Gibson's aircraft with the shockwave. He ordered the rest to keep coming. "Keep the flak busy. We'll cover you." Then, on the 5th attempt, Flight Lieutenant David Maltby released his bomb perfectly. It hit, rolled, sank, and detonated deep against the wall. The lake's surface bulged outward like a living thing. A second later, the Emchen Dam broke. Millions of tons of water erupted through the gap. A roaring white torrent racing down the valley. Villages, factories, and railway lines vanished beneath it. German workers, asleep in their beds, awoke to a thunder louder than war itself. With the Emchen destroyed, Gibson turned his formation toward the Eder. The terrain was treacherous, steep. Hills surrounding a narrow valley. "Christ, it's like flying inside a teacup," one pilot muttered. They had to dive between ridges, pull up over forests, and drop straight into the reservoir. The first two bombs missed. The third struck true. The explosion echoed through the valley like rolling thunder. When the smoke cleared, the Eder Dam too began to crumble. A second river of destruction tore through the night. The Sarp Dam proved tougher. Built of earth and concrete, it withstood direct hits. 2 crews struck it before dawn, but it held. Exhausted, low on fuel, and with half their squadron lost or missing, the survivors turned home. At 4:30 a.m., Gibson landed at Scampton. Only 11 of the 19 bombers returned. 53 men were dead. Gibson walked across the tarmac, silent as the first light of dawn crept over the airfield. He looked at the empty dispersal bays, spaces that would never be filled again, and said quietly, "They did their job." By morning, the German high command was in chaos. Aerial reconnaissance showed vast sections of the Ruhr Valley underwater. Factories were flooded, bridges swept away, power stations knocked offline. Tens of thousands were displaced, and more than 1,000 civilians killed. Albert Speer, Hitler's armaments minister, later admitted, "It was a catastrophe for us. For several weeks, steel production dropped by 40%. Hydroelectric power vanished overnight. Though repairs began immediately, the psychological shock was immense. In Berlin, Hitler was furious, not just at the damage but at the humiliation. The British, whom he had once mocked as the nation of toy inventors, had built a weapon so ingenious it turned water into a bomb. British newspapers called the raiders the Dambusters. The name stuck, a symbol of daring, precision, and the belief that intelligence could outfight tyranny. Barnes Wallis, upon hearing of the casualties, wept. "I never meant to kill so many," he said softly. "I only wanted to end the war sooner." In the years that followed, debate raged over the operation's strategic value. Some argued it was symbolic, a moral victory more than a military one. Others saw it as proof that precision engineering could change the course of war. For Gibson and his men, the legacy was more personal. Courage, measured not by orders followed, but by risks taken in the dark. Wallis went on to design the Tall Boy and Grand Slam earthquake bombs, which later destroyed U-boat pens and railway tunnels. His ideas, low-altitude delivery, precision targeting, and structural destruction, laid the foundation for modern guided munitions. 617. Squadron remained an elite unit, pioneering precision strikes for decades to come. Their motto, "Après moi la deluge, after me, the flood," became both literal and legendary. As for the men who flew that night, most never saw the fame they deserved. Gibson was killed the following year. His dog, Niggard, buried the same day as the raid, remains a bittersweet emblem of the operation's duel. Nature, brilliance, and loss. Even today, over the quiet waters of the Mchian and Eder, local villages say that on still nights, you can hear the echo of engines, the ghostly thrum of Lancasters skimming the moonlit surface, bound for destiny.